Okay, everyone, it's supper time out on the old home place. And so I'm going to show you what I'm making for supper. First of all, I'm going to show you how to make black beans with sausage. So let me turn this around so you can see my little cutting board. Okay, and I've got some sausage right here that I had cut up and frozen. This is Conecuh sausage. And if you live somewhere other than Alabama, you may not be familiar with Conecuh sausage. Conecuh sausage is made in Conecuh County, Alabama, and that's up North 65, Interstate 65, from where I live. So this is famous in this area, Conecuh sausage. It is my very favorite sausage, has a wonderful flavor, and so that's what I'm going to be cooking with today. So let's turn you around here. Let's cut some of this sausage up. I'm just going to cut it in small pieces, just like this. And this is what we're going to start out with in our recipe. We're going to slice up some sausage, and we're going to put it in a pot. And we're going to start sauteing this sausage. So let me get us some cut up here. I'm glad y'all are watching today. Glad that y'all coming along with me in the kitchen today. Okay, let me cut up one more piece. See if that looks like enough. Now today we're not going to be, we're going to be kind of eyeballing this recipe, just kind of what me and my daughter Rebecca call pour and stir. But I can probably give you some roundabout measurements. Okay, I believe this might be enough sausage right here. Let's turn the camera around here to the stove. There's the pot I'm going to use right there. Let's put this sausage in here. Okay, look at that, see if that looks like enough. Yeah, I believe that'll be enough because I'm only using 1 can of black beans today. So there's my sausage. Let's turn on the burner. We're going to turn it on medium-high and get that started going. And in the meantime, I'm going to cook in this pot some brown rice. So I like brown rice. Brown rice is my favorite out of white rice or brown rice. I prefer brown rice. So I'm going to cook brown rice to go with this recipe today. So I need 2 cups of water. I've got my measuring cup right here. Let me pour that in here. All right, and we're going to start this burner up, going to have it almost on high, not quite, because I don't want to destroy my pots. So if you cook with your good pots on high, with your burner on high, it'll mess up the bottom of your pot. So there we go, there's that. Now, another thing I'm going to do is, well, let me put this lid on here for right now. Another thing I'm going to do with this pot right here, I'm going to put some collard greens in that pot, and that's going to be a vegetable that we're going to have tonight. Now, the collard greens that I'm going to cook in that pot, I actually cooked months ago. I grow my own collards, and so I had picked the collards, a big bunch of them. I had a bunch of them that were ready. So I picked them, put them in a big pot, cooked them, and what we didn't eat, I put in bowls and froze. So I've got a little bowl right here. Here's a Cool Whip bowl with collards in it. And that's what's going to go in this pot right here, is my collards. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that over, put that in there, scrape out the bowl because this right here is seasoning. And we want that seasoning go in the pot with the collards. So let's try to get this scraped out and in this bowl back here. And we're going to turn this burner on as well. Let me scrape that off of my spoon. Okay, let's turn this burner on as well. I may have to add just a little bit of water to that right there. Let me just get a little bit, put in it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a little water in here. Now these collards are seasoned with honey baked ham bone. That's what they're seasoned with. And if you have a honey baked ham around you that's close to you, you can go in there and you can actually buy the ham bone. And that's what I buy to season a lot of my vegetables with. And just a tad more water here. All right, that ought to do it for right there. Okay, I hear the sausage cooking. I'm going to put the lid back on this, let this cook some. I hear the sausage cranking up. That is great. This water here is starting to get little bubbles on the bottom, so that's good. And I have in, let me turn this around, I don't want to burn my hair. I have in the double ovens, my top oven, I have some Mexican cornbread cooking in it. It ought to be just about ready. So, let's see. Let's turn this around. Yeah, you can see the oven. Let me check this. See if it's ready. Oh yeah, it's ready. There is my Mexican cornbread. So it's already ready. So I'm going to turn this out on a, I'll just turn you on around here to the bar. There we go. I'm going to turn that out on a plate. See if it'll come out of here. Oh yeah, did y'all see that come out of there like that? Just pop right out. That's good. All right. So, there is my Mexican cornbread that's going to go with this meal this evening. Now, I don't know if you know it or not. People down here in the South, they know, because we eat collards and turnip greens. We eat the green part on the turnip. Well, we eat both parts. We eat the white root, but we eat the green leaves that are on top as well. But whenever you're eating turnip greens or collard greens, you're supposed to have cornbread with it. And that's just tradition here in the South. You don't eat biscuits or rolls with your greens. You eat cornbread. So here's my cornbread. I'm just going to set that over here on the bar. And we'll turn back around here to the stove, and let's kind of see what we got going on here. Get this turned back around where we can see the stove. Okay. Let me look in here. Oh yeah, this is sizzling. This is great. Okay, good deal. Can you see in there? See, I'm just cooking this sliced sausage. Oh, boy, I wish y'all could smell this. Oh my. You would be impressed if you could smell that sausage. Now, let's let it cook just a tad longer. Let's look in here at this pot. Okay, it's starting to, my greens, they were frozen, but they're starting to melt a little bit. This is heating up. All right, that's looking good. Let's look at here. See the sausage grease? Can you see that grease right down here? It's cooking out of the sausage. That is this grease. Oh, I was trying to get some of it up here on this spoon where you could see it. Can you see the grease in that spoon? I don't know if you can or not. But anyway, this grease is part of what will season the beans, the sausage grease and the sausage themselves will season the beans. Then I have other seasonings that I'm going to put in with the beans as well. And that's where we're going to just kind of pour and stir. You know, I do have a recipe to go by. Got a little handwritten recipe that I got when I was in Oklahoma years ago at my mother-in-law's house. And I got this recipe from her for, it's Creole black beans. And it is a very good recipe. I've kept it all these years, which has been, I don't know, 30 years or so maybe. And if you don't like black beans, or if you don't care for black beans, you can use red beans. Red beans go very good with this recipe. And I'm sure you could probably use pinto beans, but I just really like black beans. So that's the reason I'm making it with black beans. Let me look here. Might ought to get me some kind of little measuring spoon out of my drawer. Okay, here we go. I've got a measuring spoon, and I'm going to use this just to measure some of my stuff. But I don't know if I told you this, but the reason I'm going to kind of just have to estimate is because this recipe calls for 3 cans of black beans, and I'm going to only put 1 can of black beans because there's only 2 of us eating today. So just 2 cans of black beans. Okay, I've got to get, next thing I need when my sausage is done. The sausage is done. So let me turn my burner down just a little bit. And let me turn this around where you can see this again. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I need to add some seasoning blend. That may look backwards to you, I'm not sure. Seasoning blend. Let me cut the top off of it. If I can keep from dropping it. And we're just going to pour. We're going to estimate. This is going to probably just make a loud noise here, because I'm pouring this frozen seasoning blend on top of this hot sausage. So, we got a little bit of seasoning blend. Let me add a little bit more. This is going to add really good flavor as well. Okay, so here's what we got. We've got our sausage, we've got our seasoning blend. We want that to start sauteing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get all of my seasonings in the pot first. Put my sausage in, then all of my seasonings. I'm going to let all of that be sauteing together and blending together, and that way the flavors and seasonings will all blend together. So I'm going to start putting the other seasonings in here as well. Okay, let's see. This is about to boil for my rice. So let me go ahead and put my rice in here. 1 cup of brown rice. I'm pouring that into 2 cups of water. Now I may have to add a little more water to it after it cooks down a little bit. If it's not tender enough, I may have to add a little more water. Okay, so we need to add some more stuff here. First of all, I'm going to add some crushed tomatoes. This recipe calls for tomato sauce, but I had this leftover crushed tomatoes and it will work fine. So this was frozen, and I've thawed it out a little bit. I'm just going to take some of this and put it in here. Okay, maybe just a little bit more. Okay, that ought to be enough of that. Let me set that to the side. And then we've got, let me get my paper here. Okay, we had the seasoning blend that we put in there. Let me get a little water. Okay, let me add just a little water in here. Now, the seasoning blend, that's a combination of onions, bell peppers, celery, and parsley. So we've already added that part of the recipe in there. Now, what comes next is we need some garlic. So let me get my minced garlic. Let me pull all my seasonings over here. Okay, so let's put some minced garlic in there. It calls for, the original recipe calls for 4 cloves. So I'm going to, I've got a 1/4 measurer here. I had that heaping up, put that in there. I think I'll put just a little bit more. Okay, and we'll put that in there. And what else do we need? We need thyme, oregano, and white pepper. So, thyme. Here's thyme. Just going to get a little bit, put it in there, and dry out my little spoon here. Okay. We got stuff boiling here. Oh yeah, this is doing good. Let's turn the greens down. Let's turn the brown rice down. Let's try to set a lid on top of the brown rice, but it may boil over. So I've just kind of got it cocked a little bit on there. Okay, so we need thyme. Let me put, calls for 2 teaspoons, so I'm going to put, here's just 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, and oregano is 1½ teaspoons, so I'll put a little less than 1/4 teaspoon. There's the oregano. And we need white pepper, and it calls for 1½ teaspoons of white pepper. And it calls for cayenne pepper and black pepper. So we've got these 3 peppers that go in this recipe. And I know from experience that is too much and it is too hot. So I'm going to really tone down the pepper because I cannot take the heat. So let's turn back around here. Okay, so I've got my, what do we need next? White pepper. Okay, here's my white pepper right here. Let's get the lid off of this. We're going to just get just the smallest little touch. You see that right there? The smallest little touch of white pepper. And put the lid back on there. Okay, we've got to have some black pepper. I've got a grinder, so I'm just going to turn it upside down and just grind some in it. Okay. Then we've got to put some cayenne pepper in it. And I really want to be careful with this. I don't want a whole lot. I'm just going to get the very tip of my spoon. Get just a little bit of cayenne pepper. Now those of you who can take hotter, spicier food, you can just put that however you want it. Adjust it however you want it. Whatever makes you happy with that. That's what you can do. Now this recipe actually calls for a bay leaf, but I left my bay leaves over at Dauphin Island in my RV. So I'm just going to do without a bay leaf today, but it'll still be good. Okay, so let's see. What else do I need to do? I'm going to have to skip the bay leaf. I've already got me some tomato sauce in there. I need chicken bouillon. Okay, it calls for 1 chicken bouillon cube. Well, I am only making 1/3 of this recipe, so I'm just going to put 1 little piece of a chicken bouillon cube in there. This is about 1/3 of a piece of a bouillon cube. Dropping that down in there. All right, let's see how we're looking here. Okay, it's looking good. Still think we need to add a little more water. It's kind of thick and I don't want it to stick. Okay, there we go. Got some water. Now, what we want to do, let me look here. Okay, the only thing we have left to put in this pot is our beans. So we will get that together. I've got my can. I've got all of my ingredients out here on the counter, just laying here. I'm going to try to scoot them over so I can show you what I'm going to do next. Because I'm sweating. It's hot in the kitchen today. Even though it's fall, we are in South Alabama. And it is very common for us to have 100% humidity in the South. That is common. That's normal. And so, anyway, just getting kind of hot because I got so much stuff cooking. Had the oven on, got 3 eyes on here cooking food. But I want to show you this handy dandy little gadget that I have. And I know some of y'all will be familiar with it. You probably got one. But we haven't had this one very long. And I'll tell you my little story on it. We had been trying to see about having some kind of a electric can opener, that you didn't have to sit on the shelf or, and get out every time you wanted to use it or leave it sitting out on the shelf, because I don't like to leave stuff sitting out on my counter. And so Carla was researching it and looking, and she said, hey, I found this can opener. I wonder, if it works, if it's good, or is it a scam, or, whatever. So I think she had already ordered it. And before it came in, I flew into Tulsa, Oklahoma to see some of my good friends, Sister Ethel Tolliver and Brother Tommy Tolliver. I flew in to see them. I think I may have been going to the camp meeting there at Bethany Holiness Church with them. I was staying with them and went to the camp meeting. Well, we was in her kitchen, and she pulled out this little handy dandy can opener. And it turned out that it was the very same thing that we had ordered. So I was like, whoa, look at this. Okay, I'm going to be able to see, does this really work or not? So let's turn around here. And here's my beans. I'm trying to get this where you can see it. This is my black beans, Bush's black beans. Okay, Mama always taught me to, get a wet rag or wet paper towel, wipe the top of your cans off before you open them, because, they can have dust on them. They may have been sitting on the shelf in the store for weeks, months, who knows. So you want it to be clean, so wipe it off. Okay, here is my handy dandy can opener right here. Isn't that neat? Okay, look at here. I'm just going to stick it on here, press the button, there it goes. It's cutting the top off. Okay, now, there it is. It cut the top off. And see, it doesn't cut down in the rim like regular can openers, but it cuts around the side and cuts the top completely off there. See there? So that is so neat. Okay, so let's turn around. Well, let me put a little more water over here. This stuff is cooking away. Okay, let's turn around to the sink. Let me show you what I'm going to do with these beans. Okay, here we are in the sink. Okay, I've got a little strainer here. I'm going to pour these black beans in the strainer because I don't like the juice off of these black beans to be in my recipe. I don't care for the juice. So I'm going to strain this juice off. Then I'm going to rinse the black beans off. I like to get all of that juice off. In the meantime, I'm rinsing out my can, rinsing out the lid, and we have a recycle can that we put stuff like this in, our metal cans. and we recycle these. We send them to the recycle place. That way, and we burn our trash out here. We don't have trash pickup, so we burn our trash, and I don't like to have a bunch of cans, you know, on my trash pile that won't burn. So we just we put them in the recycle can that we have for it, and then we take it to town and we drop it off at the recycle place. Okay, so let's turn back around here. We're going to put these beans in the pot. Makes me think about that little rhyme: peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot 9 days old. These aren't peas, and we're not going to have them in the pot for 9 days, but that's just what it makes me think about. Okay, I've got to use 2 hands to get this turned around here. Okay, there we go. Now, there's our pot. We've got everything in it but the beans. Okay, here we go with the beans. We got our beans in there. Now, we're going to stir this up. There you go. Wowee. And we'll let this cook down a little bit. And this will be ready to go. Basically, all we've got to do now is let these beans cook, heat up, let the liquid in here reduce down until we have it to the thickness that you want it to be. You know, that's totally up to you as far as how thick you want your liquid on your beans. So I'm going to let that just cook down a little bit, and then we'll be ready to eat. So let's check our other stuff. Let's see how things are going here. This is our greens. Okay, our greens look like they're ready. Let me stir them a little bit. See, oh yeah. Okay, that's ready. So we're going to turn that off. See, we still got a little liquid in it, enough liquid in it. So let's turn our greens off. They're ready. Let's take a look here at the rice. Okay, the rice isn't ready yet. Let's look at it. Okay, it's going to be a little while before this rice gets ready. We're going to have to let it cook a little bit. We'll turn the heat up on that a little bit, so maybe it'll go ahead and cook, really get with it. Okay, let's look over here again. Let's see how this is looking. This is going to be ready pretty shortly. The only hold up here is going to be our brown rice. Okay, I'm going to let that cook down just a little bit more. All right, so we've got to let our brown rice finish cooking. We've got to let our beans, the liquid reduce down a little bit so that our liquid will be a little bit thicker. And then everything will be ready and we'll eat supper. So I'll be back in a few minutes and I'll let you see what we've got for supper. All right, everybody, our supper is ready and we're fixing to dip it up. And Carla has made it home. Come here, Carla. Here's my friend Carla. She's home from work. She's been working hard and she's got a good appetite, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to eat all this food she cooks.
You know, it's a hard job.
Yeah, but I can do it. I can handle it.
So, we're going to dip up a plate and we're going to let you see what we got. Okay? Let's turn it around here. There it is on the stove. Okay, let's see. So, I will dip me up a plate. I'm going to get a little bit of brown rice. And, hang on, let me turn this camera back around. Carla don't know about this. I'm going to eat just a little bit of supper. I'm not going to eat a whole lot. And the reason is, I was digging around in the freezer a few days ago, and I found some of my birthday cake from a year ago when I turned 60.
Your red velvet cake?
Yes.
Made by Zumo's Bakery?
Zumo's Bakery, yes. So, and it was so good. when we ate it a year ago, and I saved what was left of it. So I found that. So I've got that pulled out, and I've got some Bluebell vanilla ice cream. So that's what we're going to have for supper. I mean, for dessert.
She means supper.
Well, yeah, I might mean supper for me. But that's what we're going to have for dessert. So I don't want a whole lot of supper because I want to save room for dessert.
But this sure looks good.
Yes, it's good. Okay, so I got me a little bit of brown rice right there. Okay, let me get me some of these beans and sausage to go over the rice. Now in the South, you don't put like milk and sugar on your rice and mix it up and eat it. I can't hardly do that. No, you eat like gravy over rice or something like that. Okay, let me get out of the picture here. All right, so let's see. And I want a piece of cornbread. This is the Mexican cornbread. I just made a small pound of cornbread this time. And let me get me a little bowl, dip up some collards. Like I said, these are my collards that I grew. I cooked a bunch of them up. And I froze what we didn't eat right away so that I could pull them out later on. And do you see that ham in there? That's that honey baked ham I was talking about in there. And that is so good. Okay, so that is my plate. This is my plate right here. Okay, I've got a very small plate because I've got to have dessert. Okay, Carla can get what she wants. Well, maybe...
She puts me under a lot of pressure. Everybody gonna watch what I'm eating.
I think she don't want everybody to see how much she's gonna eat.
Well, I love these beans. These black beans. They kind of remind me of charro beans, is what they kind of remind me of. And I'm gonna get a corner piece too, one that is good and crisps. And I'm going to get some collards. I never cared for collards until I had Denise's collards. And they are good. Denise, are you going to show them, or have you already shown them how to pick the collards? I mean, you've got a good batch of collards out there right now.
Yeah, I'm going to turn this around so I can talk to them. I haven't showed them my collard patch, or I hadn't showed y'all how to pick them or cook them yet. Even though the collards grow through the summer, the bugs are bad on them unless you keep poison, on the collards. So, and they don't really taste good in hot weather when they're grown in the hot weather. We like to eat collards after the weather gets cold and after the first frost. And they taste a lot better that way. So here in maybe another month or so, I'll show y'all how to pick collards and clean them and cook them. And that'll be something coming in the future, coming to a location near you.
Coming to a YouTube video near you. Coming
yes.
to your phone.
So that's all for today, folks. We're going to eat our supper. And so we'll talk to y'all later. And y'all come back real soon. You hear?